In today's fast paced world, the rules of branding have been completely rewritten. Gone are the days when a catchy logo and slogan were enough to make your mark. The branding game has changed, and if you're not adapting, you're falling behind. In this episode, we're diving deep into the new the landscape of branding. We'll explore how social media, customer experience, and authenticity have revolutionized the way businesses connect with their audiences. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, understanding these shifts is crucial for your success. Today, we welcome into the studio Samantha McGinley. Samantha is a visionary branding coach and marketing strategist with over 8 years of experience in transforming brands and elevating marketing strategies. Dedicated to empowering entrepreneurs to not only stand out, but also scale their ventures effectively. Her commitment to sculpting distinctive brands, mastering cutting edge marketing techniques, and devising strategic social media approaches has consistently helped clients deeply understand their audience and attract their ideal customers. Welcome.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I got a little tongue tied there. There's so much. You do so much. And I'm like, consistently. I don't know why I always struggle saying that word. I can't wait to dive deep into branding with you.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. I love branding, and like the title of this podcast, branding has changed. So let's get into
Yes,
it.
it has. So for our listeners and for me, really, what is a branding coach? What do you really do? Like at the end of the day, what is a branding coach?
Totally. So it's kind of like, I would say it's newer, obviously. I've only found like a few people in like the niche itself, but branding coach for me and like what I focus on with my clients is how to find your ideal client, how to really idealize your ideal customer, like how to create that vision and bring it to life, because brands have changed in the sense of, okay, we think of branding in the way of like logos, fonts, websites, and then also you think of iconic brands like McDonald's, even Lamborghini, Nike, like these iconic brands. But social media has changed that. Social media has made it to where brands can be people. So when we take that and basically bring that into concept, branding is all about how you represent yourself, how you're talking to people, your messaging, your overall foundation. And so it's how you're putting yourself out into the world. And so as a branding coach, I help people basically conceptualize that whole idea of like how they're talking to their audience, how they can bring out their entirety of themselves into their brand and make it their identity, because brand is not just a business, it is an identity in itself.
And it's interesting that you brought up the colors and logos and fonts, because that's what we traditionally think of as branding. Like think of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
You know, I can picture it. Like that's what we thought it was, but it's become more than that. Like you said, it's become, especially as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. No, it has. It's crazy to see how much it's evolved, I would say, and to see how also it's a very new concept still, because it's like you say, logos, fonts, colors, it's a thing. But then if you go into that even deeper of like your logos, fonts, and colors, what's the psychology behind all of that, right? Because it's like your logos, your fonts, your colors, those are still things I work on with clients, but I'm still like, who is your ideal audience and what is it that you're trying to represent through that? Because I have clients that are like, I'm working strictly with men mid 50s to early 60s, late 60s, and they're presenting the idea of sophistication, moving from mid-senior level to senior level positions. And I'm like, great. So then we're thinking about royal colors. We're thinking about blues, blacks, whites, yellows, golds, because those are the things that most men are attracted to, of just like that symbolism, because there's a lot like Michigan, Berkeley, big schools with big football teams have those colors, right? And so like people are naturally drawn to them. So when we're thinking about the energy of one concept of like what men like, what is drawn from that, there's so much more psychology behind it that people don't understand, that it's like, okay, cool. I'm not just going to give you a PDF of just your brands, your fonts, your colors. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to be like, who are we talking to and why do they need those colors and why do they need to hear that and see that from you?
And that's a lot of research, right? That has to go into, first of all, let's back up. So your ideal customer, in my world, I call it your ICA, your ideal customer avatar, who that is. You first have to figure out who you're talking to. How do you advise people to go about that?
One of my favorite things to say as a very interesting concept is, okay, cool. Maybe you're new in the world. Maybe you're already established. You have to go down to come up. So
Mhm.
breaking that apart in the sense of, I love to do this exercise with my clients of to go down to go up is breaking it apart and using only your mind. So who is that person? Like if we're just sitting chit chatting in the sense of like, what's their name? What do they do? Like,
Mhm.
you know so much about your industry, you know who you're talking to, but sometimes I sit with someone for usually it takes me about an hour, hour and a half sometimes to really sit with them, conceptualize the idea. Because it's like, what do they need from you? What are they
Mhm.
doing? Are they a busy mom, like working? And like, are they trying to bring supplemental income into their household for their kids? Like, what is it that they're doing? How are they struggling?
Mhm.
And that is a whole framework that I work on because AI is available. AI is fantastic. And I love using AI.
Mhm.
But sometimes this is one thing that I'm like, I demand and I require that we sit and we work this out from simply just your creative side of like your brain of who you're talking to, because that is the first thing I start off with clients. I'm like, who do you want to talk to? Like, why do you want to talk to them in
And AI
specific?
can't tell you that.
No. And it's cool because once you do all of this, once I build out this framework with
Mhm.
my clients of who this person is, then it's so much easier to pop that into AI and give a content
Mhm.
calendar, give so many more ideas based off of that one person, because then you're talking to them exactly
Mm.
how you want to.
See, and that's the thing I think for me, like getting in the heads of the people that you see as your customer, but you're a third party,
Mhm.
which helps because when you're in it, you go, well, I think this is the person. And, my shopper is this. This is what they like to do. But is it really? Like, the questions to ask to take it, from my perspective to a branding perspective and say, let's dig this out of you. Let's figure out who your customer really is because for some of us, it may not be who we think it is. Do you ever have that happen?
I do, because actually we end up thinking more of ourselves than we think about our clients, which happens a lot
Mm,
because burnout happens so often when we're creating brands, building businesses. Like when we're generating content, everyone has burnout. But the one
right.
thing I've noticed consistently is that burnout happens when you start posting or start creating for yourself instead of for your client. So I have a couple of those checks every month or so of like, hey, how's your content going and how are you feeling and how is the thing that you're building feeling with your audience? Because if it's feeling you're trying to get that burnout feeling, let's readjust. Like let's reclaim that,
Mhm.
because recentering to your target audience makes it so much more effective. And because at the end of the day, we all got into this line of work of being an entrepreneur to help
Right.
people. So
Mhm.
we can't be in the mindset of ourselves. We can't get stuck in thinking about what we would need to see, how we would talk to ourselves, because at the end of the day, we're not our client.
Mhm. So I have an interesting question in the respect of you have a business owner, an entrepreneur
Mhm.
who has been doing this one thing for a long time. Then they decide, I'm not just defined by that brand. Okay. I need to become the brand of me.
Mhm.
They become the brand of me, but they need to relay to their audience that the person that owns this business is, yes, this person owns this business, but they also have their own identity out here who's trying to do something else. So, kind of pivoting the message.
Mhm.
Have you seen that, worked with that? What advice would you give to somebody who needs to or wants to pivot their message to something else, all while still maintaining the image of I'm the owner of this company, but I'm becoming my own brand as well?
Totally. The one thing that comes to mind to first say is that when we're building something, we have to know that not everyone likes change. So you're always going to see a decrease in engagement.
Mhm.
Like you're always going to see a slight downfall in whatever you do, because in actuality, and what I've done and how I've observed things, it takes fully about a year to just have the brand recognized and to reach, I call it like different stages of brand development. And so about a year to really be in the zone. But when people want to build their own personal brand, I say, great. So if you have this established business and you want to build out your personal brand, how you do that is you start to do the things. You have to identify what you want to do with that first. Is that building another business? Is that just lifestyle content? Is that kind of coming along with me? And one example that I can think of is a very dear friend of mine who owns a salon, and she has her personal brand. She's been on a show and has gotten very well recognition from the show that she's been on. And so she's built her personal brand off of being on that show. And
Sure.
so when she started posting more content about the salon or about two salon owners, it wasn't resonating on her personal brand side. And so she had to start listening to her audience and being like, okay, they want to see more lifestyle content of what I'm doing and more days in the life. And so when she made that shift, it changed her whole personal brand. And then her business is now her team. And that takes a lot when you've built something, and allowing for that almost not even delegation, but just that freedom for your team to be like, we've got this. Like, it's just come in it as you please, like come in it as you want. And so as watching her with her team, it's so fun to see how much more free she feels because her personal brand is on this whole other side and she can run her business. So I would say it just takes some time of what you really want to do with that personal brand, in the sense of, are you kind of moving towards that content creator influencer model, which isn't a bad way to do it, because it's like brand deals are an opportunity. You can go for more lifestyle content, more days in the life of being just an entrepreneur. Or do you want to build something else? It's a matter of that lens of figuring out what direction you want to go. And so for me, I'm like, just think about your audience, who you want to talk to in that realm of building your personal brand as you start to step away, but also know that it takes time. And within that time, you might feel like you lose a couple of people, but that's okay, because you're going to call in the people who really want to know you.
So let's say you don't know. You know that you want to create your personal brand, but you kind of have an idea of what you want to do. Let's say you step from owning a business to then, the linear thing would be coaching. Okay. I want to coach other small businesses. Going from that's not as big of a leap, I guess. But you don't know what that looks like. Is it fine to just start creating and just start putting one foot in front of the other? And, a lot of people say start before you're ready. Do you just start creating content without having that clear vision as to who the end user is going to be of it? Or do you really have to take a step back, wait till you know that to start creating?
I say within the first 3 months of when you're just kind of figuring things out and like what you want to do, I like to call it, I'll keep it clean, but it's just kind of just like your F it period. Like just completely just mess around, go find the thing that is resonating with your audience and use 90 days. Because if you're just posting like content in the sense, so with TikTok, like the algorithm itself, sometimes it takes a while for you to get out of like 200 views on TikTok, because it's just trying to figure out where it wants to put you. Sure. Think about it in the same way of just when you're producing content for the first couple of months, think about which way is resonating more. How are you finding your audience and where do you want to go? Because sometimes you end up finding a love for filming one content versus another. And so if in this example, if you're pivoting into just solo coaching and wanting to help other businesses, that's kind of, again, coming down to go up, because you have to think about the foundational work of building a mission statement, building an avatar, building your brand again. And it seems so repetitive, but I constantly remind my clients that coming down is the same way that you would climb up a peak, right? You're like, okay, to maybe get to the tallest peak of where you want to go, which would maybe be success, you have to go through a couple of peaks just to get there, just to see the ultimate view. But when you get to the first peak, you're like, oh, this view is great. This is fantastic, but I want to go there. So more often than not, what do you have to do? You have to go down to go back up.
Right.
And so it's that same thing of take 90 days, even if it was before to like work with someone like me or before you work with someone in marketing or whatever, to just find what resonates with you. But then also remember that building a foundation of your mission, your avatar, and all of the other things at the baseline is going to help you grow, because that's where it all starts. And without that, you cannot build your brand effectively.
And, I think as entrepreneurs, we get very impatient
Mhm.
and we kind of forget what it was like when we built our first business and how slow it actually was.
Yeah.
But then when you build your second business, you're like, I don't understand why it's not happening like right now. And it's not happening right now because your first business didn't start that way, but it's been so long for a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
that they don't remember that.
And it's funny. I was sitting and talking with another coach not too long ago, and I was asking him the very question of like, how do you explain to clients of that same phrase of you have to go down to go up?
Mhm.
And he gave me the example of a Christmas tree, of how it gets shorter as it goes up, because as you continue to build brands and make businesses, the first like leg of the bottom of a tree is like really long, right? But then every time you do something, it gets shorter and it builds up the tree. So that's kind of the same way, is that in the sense of how I look at the 4 stages of brand development.
Mhm.
First, you have the recognition of like your team and maybe some of the people around you. The second stage is your audience kind of starts to get that idea of who you are and what you do. The third stage is your peers, so friends of friends. So they're like, oh, hey, I've seen her content. I know
Right.
her. Like, I can start telling her about it. It's when you get personal referrals and all of those things. And a lot of the times it takes a while to get from the second stage to the third stage.
Sure.
Your audience really has to understand you. And it's incredibly important. But taking that into consideration, when you get to the fourth stage, that's mass market. Like,
Okay.
that's Jen Gottlieb level, that's Gabby Bernstein level. That's, you can sell anything and be at that point where your audience is like, okay, I'm in. Like, I already know who you are and what you do.
Mhm.
And also, it doesn't matter what you do. I just know your brand. So
Right.
when you think about it like that, it just takes some time to go to each level.
And a lot of people look at, and I know we've heard this saying in all of the circles that we're in, right? Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20,
Yes.
you know, and it's true because we do. We're human and we see somebody, the big names in the world posting on social media and we're like, I want to be them. And we think that it just happened overnight, and it really didn't. It took a long time for them to, what
Mhm.
you're saying, go down to go back up. It's taken many of those cycles, but we don't see that.
Exactly. And Gary Vee highlights that a lot too. He's like, you guys just look at me now, like of where
Mhm.
I am and where my brand is, but you don't think about 10, 15 years ago when it was nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't, I was where you guys are, just building things, and I just put out a lot of content.
Mhm.
I just put out mass amounts of content and saw and tried to see what stuck. And that's
Mhm.
why he's so successful now, is just he's built his brand over time. But we were even having this conversation with one of my other clients who works in like image consulting, and she was talking about people, they just want to get to the stage of billionaires where they can wear like flip-flops and t-shirts and shorts. And I'm like, you think about how long somebody
Yes.
wore a suit before they could do
Mhm.
that. And it's the same thing with brands. You think about how long someone has to get there before they can just sell whatever, be whatever, have people behind them. So that's where it's like, it's okay. Like, what are we in a rush for? Like, I know that we want to make money and we want to be successful, but that's why I emphasize to a lot of my clients of, you have to remember your why. You have to remember why you got
Mhm.
into this, because at the end of the day, we built a business to help people. So we need to remember that.
Absolutely. And, I love the Gary Vee conversation because you're right. Like, we totally don't see any of that, nor do we care because all we see is what we see now,
Exactly.
and we want to be that. So, is the personal brand something that's here to stay?
I think so. Yes, because as I mentioned kind of at the beginning, social media changed that. It really did, because YouTubers, like,
Sure.
it's no longer a business name that needs to hold recognition in order for people to get things. Like, Alex Earl, for example, or even Mr. Beast on YouTube,
Mhm.
or any famous influencer, TikToker, whatever, they have millions of followers. And those people will buy whatever that person says. And that's why they're called influencers,
Right.
creators, because they're being influenced to show other people what they're doing, but because they've made such a strong personal brand that it doesn't ultimately matter what they do. They're always going to have people behind them because they took someone along with the journey.
Right.
So yes, personal brands are here to stay, especially, I mean, as long as we're in the social media sphere,
Mhm.
yeah, it's always going to be a thing.
Something interesting that I've thought about with the influencer area. So I remember back in the day when, as a business owner, I basically paid an influencer money or
Hmm.
product to influence their followers to my brand.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you speak to this, but I'm going to give my opinion. I feel like it seems as though it's kind of going the other way around a little bit right now. Like influencers are important, but the influencers they've really built up their brand and put themselves out there, and they're more apt to be very careful as to who they endorse and what they do and what they don't do and those kinds of things. But I don't know why I feel like I would be less apt to believe somebody that I know is getting paid. Does that make sense? Is
It
that really
does.
the case, or am I making that up?
I think
Is
you're
it
observing yeah, I think you're observing a much larger shift amongst the marketplace. I was having this conversation with a coach not too long ago, too, where there's a huge shift to where the sales market of how we've given people things for so long, it used, flashy sales, cheap sales, things that were just almost guaranteed, but just fast. What's the word? Sticky, um,
right?
just all of those types of sales, they just don't work anymore. People
Mhm.
want to trust you.
Right,
And I think that you're absolutely in the sense of I want to be able to trust someone before I give them my product or pay them to like actually influence it or like bring it out to their market. Because right now it's just people are just they want authenticity. They
mhm,
want real people. And I tell that to all my clients of who are stuck feeling like they want to create content and everything like that. It, guys, it's just in the background of things, people want to see you. They want to know who you are. They want to
right,
trust you because we have been played for so long. And we talk
mhm,
about that in the marketing industry too. It's just, when did marketing become schemy? When did everything become a play to get money?
right,
When did all of that happen? It's just so many people have changed their direction of just wanting to build trust with someone else before they invest in something else. So I think, yeah, it's drastically changing in the sense that people are just absolutely craving authenticity from someone else. So before you offer a product or invest in something else, just be honest with the fact of, okay, I might not get a return. It's the same thing with like what we say about giving other people money,
mhm,
right? I
right,
might not get that back, but I'm just going to give it because I feel like it might be good, right? And you just kind of have to just put it out there. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
right,
But at the end of the day, I think everyone's feeling that same way. In marketing, in influencer levels, it's just everyone wants someone authentic and to just actually trust someone. So that's
right,
why building a personal brand and building a brand off of
mhm,
integrity and off of your personal values is really a game changer. Because if you do that, then people are going to gravitate towards that, and people are going to want to work with you and influence whatever you have in any way that they can, because they see the vision. Does that make
sure.
sense?
That totally makes sense. Now, if you had 3 strategies, just 3 high-level strategies that you could give our audience on the important keys of building a personal brand, what would be 3 key takeaways that our audience could use to build their personal brand? Maybe a do and don't list or a do list.
Totally. I would say the first one, be as raw and real as you feel like you can, because showing the journey and the process helps a lot more.
Mhm,
I think even on my page, and I talk about this from so long ago of literally not even, my brand has shifted a lot too. So not even like maybe August of last year, was I really just wanting to be faceless? Did I really want to like not show my face and like wanted to build my brand in that direction? But then really meeting people who are like, no, I need to see your face. Like, I want to trust you.
Right.
So you have to show up. Like, and I've watched some of my clients show up and just show on camera and feel the uncomfortableness and just be honest about it. And they've attracted people because of that same thing, because there's a lot of people who just don't want to be on camera and don't want to do the thing and don't want to get up and make content every day, because we all feel like it sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. So it's at the end of the day, be real, be authentic. That would be my first one. The second one is find the things that you can bring in to almost your everyday life. So if you're going for personal brand kind of influencer model, if you have a skincare routine, if you have things that you just do every day that kind of allows people to bring it in, just bring them in, like show them the things that you're doing, obviously within boundaries, like find the areas where you feel comfortable showing. But when you showcase a lot of the things, and you can attract brand deals. You can attract the people that want to do the products or see the products that you're using and all the things like that. And that actually combines with travel, and that combines with coaching, and that combines with businesses, because you can get brand deals with hotels. You can get brand deals with airlines. You can build out the things. So when you're thinking about your everyday, unpack it. Unpack your everyday and how you can bring in the things that are just natural to you, because then it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like you're becoming an influencer, and it just feels natural. So it's like authentic energy all the way around. Bring in the brand deals that work with your everyday life, whether it's business, coaching, personal, whatever that may be. And then third, really, I like say this enough, of just know your audience, know who you want to talk to, and take the time to build an avatar. And I'll give this in the sense of, I have it all over my Instagram too. The exercise that I start with my clients of just sit down and pen to paper, or if you like to type it out. What's their name? How old are they? What do they currently do? Why do they need you? How can you help them? What are they just struggling with? And how can you bring that messaging to life? How can you pull all of that information out of them in order to tell them exactly what they need to hear? And it's cool when you do this pen to paper, computer to keyboard, whatever it may be. If you put that information into ChatGPT and have it write a diary entry for you, like the diary entry really gets me. Like, that's one where you can almost just pretend to be in the mind of another person. And so if you know your audience and you know who you're talking to, that's a game changer. It really is.
So 3 steps: be real, or 3 tips: be real, incorporate everyday life. I loved your saying, unpack your everyday.
Yep.
And then know your audience.
Yep.
Powerful, but simple.
So simple. And that's where we were talking about yesterday. It's very funny that podcasting today with you, and I was with a group of people yesterday, of an image consultant, a videographer, and just me. And we were talking about how much brand has changed, where it's like your visual representation, and then your outward appearance, and then your online presentation is literally everything that you need to understand, because that's how people are going to know, like, and trust you. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to feel seen, heard, and appreciated. Everybody does. So when you know your audience, you're so super real, and you just bring in the things that attract your everyday life, who is not going to want to work with you? Because the people who really do, they're going to find you based off of just showing up as yourself. And that's so much easier than having to feel like you have to pretend to be someone else.
Way easier, much less energy, right?
So much less energy.
Samantha, it has been a pleasure having you on today. If our listeners would like to get a hold of you, how may they do so?
Yes, I'm on Instagram at Sam the Branding Coach. Super easy. Sam the Branding Coach is mostly all of my platforms. Shoot me a DM. I'm around. I always love to hop on, do Instagram audits, like social media audits. So if you need one, just shoot me a message.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.